This is Sunday Focus, a weekly public affairs program that looks at the topics affecting our society and the people who are making a change in the community each and every day. The people who have vision for the next generation. Sunday Focus presents new challenges for us, keeping you informed with topics of local and regional interest. Now the host of Sunday Focus, Christine Manica.
Welcome back to Sunday Focus. I'm being joined in the studio by two people, actually. They both work as law enforcement and torch run event managers with the South Dakota Special Olympics, and they're here to talk about this year's Polar Plunge. It's Jill Quanley and Turner Gaines. Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having us on again.
No, yeah, absolutely. Now, before we talk about the Polar Plunge, tell us about the South Dakota Special Olympics for anyone who's not familiar with it.
Yeah, so Special Olympics South Dakota is a competitions and training sports program for anybody with an intellectual disability. We offer multiple sports and activities and other programs outside of sports for people with intellectual disabilities and without intellectual disabilities in the state of South Dakota.
Okay, so rough estimate, it's a big number probably. How many athletes would you say are with the South Dakota Special Olympics?
So it's a pretty big number. We're proud of it, but we do want to grow. It's up to around 30,000 athletes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, we have about 2,750 athletes. That number kind of was hit by COVID. Just people lost touch, or coaches and volunteers lost touch with Special Olympics South Dakota. So we're hoping to get back to that 2,750 athletes, and then some. There are other people in the state with intellectual disabilities that we can still bring on to Special Olympics and allow them to compete.
So is this like any age range? I forgot to mention that in there. So any age range can participate?
So we do have young athletes, which is ages 2 from 7. We offer some learn how to ride a bike, some other courses or some other things, but to compete in Special Olympics South Dakota, you have to be 8 years old, and then you can be up to 1,000 years old. So 8 and up, 8 and up is what we say for competing with Special Olympics South Dakota.
Yeah, no limit there for sure. What are the sports and activities that these athletes compete in?
Yeah, so we start the year off. We go by starting in January, and then up first is our basketball. And then with basketball, we also offer cheerleading. Then we get into track and field season, which also we encompass swimming into that, and volleyball, powerlifting. Then we go to equestrian, bocce ball, softball, and wrap up the year with bowling. So quite a few for anybody to pick and choose from. So. Absolutely.
And do they compete here in South Dakota, or do they go and travel?
So those are what we offer here in South Dakota. So Special Olympics South Dakota offers those events. They can go into other states and compete, but then there's also these USA Games that they can compete at every 4 years. USA Games, Summer Games, USA Winter Games, World Winter Games, and World Summer Games. Those happen every 4 years, alternating along the way. So
very cool stuff. What are other programs with the South Dakota Special Olympics?
So Special Olympics South Dakota is made up of 5 programs. We have our competition program, which is what we just spoke about, the competitions that we put on for the athletes and delegations to come compete at. We have Healthy Athletes, which is our program that really just focuses on really serving an undervalued population with intellectual disabilities, that volunteers and doctors and everyone around the area really just puts on events to help athletes learn about health and also check their health. So appointments and other physical checkups. Unified Champion Schools. We offer Unified Champion Schools that goes into local state schools and offers Unified Champion Schools, goes into schools and brings people with and without intellectual disabilities together, teaching everyone about inclusion. Really focuses on the sports side of going into schools and offering just play basketball, come to our state basketball tournament. You can come play volleyball as a team. So just really teaching everyone in the school about inclusion. And then we have the Law Enforcement Torch Run, which Jill and I are a part of. That is our fundraising and awareness program. And then, like I mentioned earlier, young athletes. That is the 2 to 7 year old range of just offering kids with and without intellectual disabilities opportunities to get involved with Special Olympics South Dakota.
Absolutely. And one opportunity to get involved with Special Olympics here in South Dakota is the annual Polar Plunge. Not only is it done here in the state, but it's also done throughout the country. And let's talk about it. It's happening on Saturday, May 7th at the J&L Hardley-Davidson. And there are a lot of activities with this event. So, Jill, it's your turn now. Tell us about it.
So the Polar Plunge registration will begin at 11 a.m. on Saturday, May 7th, with the plunge beginning at 1 p.m. Students K through 12 and college students can actually take part for $50. So I'm raising that minimum of $50. For adults, it will be raising $100. And you come and enjoy a chili dip in a 32 by 16 foot pool. So it's a pool. So that makes it even more fun. I mean, we could make everyone run into the Sioux River, but
I wouldn't do that.
But for those who maybe want to take part and don't really want to get wet, there is a 2 chicken to plunge option where you get all the incentives that we have. So we have quite a few different incentives. So if you hit that $50 or $100 mark, you get a long sleeve t-shirt. $250, you get a pair of joggers along with the t-shirt as well, a long sleeve t-shirt. $500, you get a Nike cap. For $750, a beach towel. For $1,000, some wireless headphones.
Ooh.
JBL wireless headphones, and for $1,500, a Columbia Sherpa jacket along with the joggers and the t-shirt. So you get the long sleeve t-shirt no matter what level you hit along with that incentive, and you don't even have to jump if you don't want to, if you want to do the 2 chicken to plunge option.
So just to give people an idea, how cold will this water be? Are you guys going to add some ice in there? Or what exactly? Because, May, South Dakota, it could be warm by then. So how cold are we talking?
So what's crazy is last year we also held the event in May, and it was 90 degrees. And we joked that there is no way this is a polar plunge when you get sunburnt. But the water is still surprisingly chilly. We have a little thermometer duck, and he hangs out in the pool to tell us how cold the water is. And it can range between 43 to 45 degrees still, even though it is 90 degrees outside.
It works out.
It works out, yes.
So how does the Polar Plunge work? Like, how long do people have to stay in the water? Can they do some sort of like a fun dive to get in the water? How does this all work?
So we encourage any fun costumes. We do have a Best Costume Award.
Oh, boy.
Yes. So we encourage any fun costumes, but they have to be appropriate.
Good to add that in there.
Good to add that in there. And we also encourage people to gather up their friends, coworkers, and create a team. Or even if coworkers want their boss to jump, maybe ask their boss if there's a special amount that would make them jump in the water too. But you don't have to stay in there too long. Once you jump in, there are divers there to catch you and help you get out safely. And we do have changing tents. So right away, you jump in, you get out, you can get back into warm clothes and feel a lot warmer.
Oh, it's a pretty quick process then.
Oh, yeah. We had the USD football team, the O-line. So those are bigger boys. They decided this year to jump, and they decided to all wait until everyone got in. You don't have to wait until everyone gets in.
No, but they're just going to do it.
They're just going to do it, yeah.
We'll see how long that they last with that one, too. Yeah. So what is the whole purpose of doing the Polar Plunge? Does anybody have an idea of how this even got started?
So Polar Plunges have been around, oh my goodness, for many, many years. They were a law enforcement torch run event to help raise awareness and funds for Special Olympics. I believe it started out on the East Coast and made its way over here to South Dakota. But the goal is to raise awareness. I mean, having it at J&L Hardley, people are going to be driving by. They're going to go, why is there a giant polar bear hanging out there? But also important are the funds. And Turner kind of mentioned all the different things we do for our Special Olympic athletes across the state of South Dakota. And this year we are fundraising for something a little extra special. We have USA Games in Orlando.
Oh, nice.
Yes, we are sending 45 coaches, athletes, unified partners. So that would be individuals without intellectual disabilities joining on a team with someone who we call a traditional athlete, meaning an athlete with an intellectual disability, and competing together down there at USA Games. So we're really excited about that. So that's kind of what we're hoping for, is to raise funds for them so the trip goes smoothly.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of great reasons to go out and take the plunge for this year's Polar Plunge. Now, are there any activities that take place once you're out of the water?
We do have, it's indoors, but more or less a beer tent for those who want to take part.
They're going to need it after being in the cold water.
And then we'll have music and all of that fun stuff happening too before the plunge. But we'll have a beer tent, and then there will be Fat Philly's food truck out there that plungers can take part in and enjoy some lunch there as well.
Now, I know recently in the last couple of years, it's been weird, to say the least. Now, if people can't make the plunge, or maybe they don't want to go in person, how else can they get involved? Maybe can people virtually do the plunge?
Yeah, if there's one thing COVID did teach us, is that virtual is an easy option for the plunge. So if you can't make it that day and you do want to still take part in the plunge, you can still sign up for the plunge on our online website, which is you'll find at plungesd.org. So you'll still have to raise the funds and then do some sort of plunge and videotape yourself, or just take a picture and then upload that picture or video to social media with the hashtag PlungeSD 2022. And like Jill mentioned, depending if you're a school age student or an adult, if you raise that $50 or $100 or more, we will get you your shirt and or incentive. So
Good deal. Any other events happening with South Dakota Special Olympics that people should look forward to?
Yeah, things are, so just talking about some restrictive times, we are getting back into normal times. So we're really picking things up. We've got the Polar Plunge May 7th, but before that, we have all of our area spring and swimming competitions. So that is, we have a Northeast, Southeast, a Black Hills, and a Mission Spring Games, which is our track and field event. Those are spread out through April. The Southeast one here for our Sioux Falls listener is going to be at Brandon Valley High School on April 30th. So if you're looking to get involved with the competition side of things, you can sign up to volunteer online at sosd.org. And then May 6th is the Southeast Swimming Competition at Midco Aquatic Center. And then we get into May, we have our Polar Plunge like we're talking about. And then what Jill and I are part of, the Law Enforcement Torch Run. We are going to have a torch run this year, starting May 16th and finishing up May 19th at State Summer Games. That is out in Spearfish at Black Hills State University. So May 20th, May 21st, and May 19th, May 20th, and May 21st. The athletes will be competing out in Spearfish. So look for the torch run leading up to that. Starting May 16th, we will be starting on the east side of state here, making our way just town to town, making it to as many communities as we can, on our way to the opening ceremonies on May 19th to start off the State Summer Games. So a lot to look forward to.
A lot to look forward to indeed. Yeah. If you are just listening, Jill Quanley and Turner Gaines, they are with the South Dakota Special Olympics. And guys, if anybody wants more information about the upcoming Polar Plunge, which once again, it is Saturday, May 7th at the J&L Hardley-Davidson, where can they go?
They can visit the website plungesd.org.
All right, awesome. Thanks for joining me, you guys.
Yes, thank you for having us.
All right, we'll be back.
Here's a news flash for you. More than 70% of fatal crashes in South Dakota happen on rural highways and local county roads. Hi, I'm Trooper Whitaker with the South Dakota Highway Patrol. It is important to wear your seatbelt whether you are headed to the farm or whether you are headed to the city. Seatbelts are one of the best ways to protect yourself while driving. Always wear a seatbelt. Don't skip the click. This message brought to you by the South Dakota Highway Patrol and Results Town Square Media.
Welcome back to Sunday Focus. I'm being joined by Matt Cook. He is on the board with the Falls Area Bicyclists, otherwise known as FAB. He is specifically the communications director with FAB. And hi, Matt.
Hello.
This is our first time meeting, actually, so it's nice to meet you.
Yes, I'm really excited to be here and share a little bit more about FAB.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a great opportunity for you to talk a little bit more about FAB and just some friendly reminders for the community about bicyclists. So let's start off with this question. Tell me about the Falls Area Bicyclists group.
So the Falls Area Bicyclists, also known as FAB, is a organization of people who love to ride bike, who love to support bicycle-friendly policies in government, and who love to see people getting outside and being active in their community. It is run by a group of volunteers. I am on the board as the communications director, and we truly just try and make the Sioux Falls area a better place to be outside and a better place to be on a bicycle, because let me tell you, Sioux Falls is beautiful on a bike.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially with those trails and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the trails are amazing. I am so grateful for our trail system, and it keeps growing. The city of Sioux Falls will be expanding the trail out to Family Park on the north side of town. But there are also some really cool areas of town just to ride around.
So how many bikers strong is FAB?
FAB is currently at a membership of 150.
Oh, wow.
But we are always looking to welcome new members. We have members who have been with us for many years, and we have people who are just like, I never knew you existed. This is amazing. So we're always welcoming new people.
So what do you think the purpose of this organization here is?
To me, FAB is community. It is bringing together like-minded people and trying to make a change in our community. So many people here in Sioux Falls will look at the bike trail and say, well, that's great. But think about, how did we get to having an amazing trail system here in Sioux Falls? Mm-hmm. It was through community members reaching out and saying, hey, we should do something. We should do something. So we try and be that sense of community, and then that home that will reach out and say, hey, so things we're doing is we added bicycle parking at the Levitt. So the Levitt Shell is just off the trail. Mm-hmm. Just hop it off at the Raven building and you're right there. So we added parking. We're working on adding fix-it stations to various locations around town, talking to the city about continued improved infrastructure, whether it's trails, signage, markings on streets in town, bicycle routes. So we're involved in a lot of that effort as well.
What about the educational side of things?
Educational side. So a lot of our education, we've been running a Please Don't Squeeze campaign for the past couple years. We also are running ads on 2 of the Sioux area metro buses with our Please Don't Squeeze campaign. We're also educating people with hands-on when they show up to our events. Mm-hmm. We work a lot with the other groups here in town, Falls Area Single Track, FAST, RASDAC, the Ride Across South Dakota.
And the Please Don't Squeeze campaign, I'm assuming that's about sharing the road?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So in South Dakota, a bicycle is considered a vehicle. And there is what's called like a passing law, where it is the law to give a bicyclist space. If you are going 35 miles an hour or under, you are required to give 3 feet of space. If you're going over that speed, you are required to give 6 feet of space. It is also on the bicyclist when they're riding out on the highway and stuff to ride as close to the shoulder as is practicable, mm-hmm. so that we can share the road and play nice. In the city of Sioux Falls, you are allowed to take the lane. So perhaps you've seen signs around town that says it's a picture of a bike and it's bike may use full lane. A bicycle is allowed to do that. Please give them space. Please give them time. Uh-huh. If they're going up a hill, many of us don't have motors.
If you are just listening, Matt Cook with FAB is with me in the studio. He's also on the board with FAB as the communications director. So it's actually an interesting story about how we came together. I believe it was Jeff Mersch, am I saying that name right? Mersch, who reached out to me after an article titled, "Is it legal to ride a bicycle on Sioux Falls sidewalks?" were released. There was also a previous article that I admitted that I wrote about just driving on the roads in South Dakota, if bikes are allowed to be physically on the roads in South Dakota. And that also created a conversation way before the sidewalk article. So I guess what made FAB want to come on this program just to kind of get this message across?
Well, part of it is we are constantly looking for ways to reach a new audience. The way social media works is you're often preaching to your own audience. You're creating your own echo chamber. Great, we can push this messaging to our education to our members, and that's amazing. But many of them are also being like, yeah, we get it. How do we share the fact that we exist and we get our message out to more people and therefore grow the community that appreciates what we're doing? Because there are many communities in the upper Midwest, like Madison, Wisconsin, that have an amazing bicycle culture. We want to bring that awareness and that vibrancy to the Sioux Falls area.
When I wrote my article about riding your bikes on the roads in South Dakota, it was actually an interesting day. So it was raining, believe it or not. Rain seems like something that hasn't happened in years here. But it was raining, and there was a bicyclist in front of me on the road on, 57th and Louise. And I'm thinking, gosh, I know that it's okay, but don't you want to be on the side of the road or on the sidewalk, especially when it's these hazardous conditions? And I did say exactly what you were saying about the rules of the road and stuff like that. And just go through that one more time if you can.
Yeah, so the rules of the road in the state of South Dakota, bicyclists are considered riding a vehicle. And so they are allowed to be on the streets. There is a passing law that requires that a driver going 35 miles an hour or slower give 3 feet of space. If they're going faster than that, they need to give 6 feet of space. On the highways, it is also a requirement of the bicyclist to ride as close to the shoulder as is practicable. Sometimes South Dakota shoulders aren't that great, so you might see a bicyclist drift away from the shoulder just a little bit.
So you can ride them on the highway too?
Yes. There are rides here in the state. I recently completed one at the beginning of June that was called RASDAC, the Ride Across South Dakota, where we took local highways and we rode across the state. The route for 2021 took us from Pollock way up on the North Dakota border, along the Missouri, and we ended in Vermilion.
Okay. How was that ride?
It was the week in June that was extremely hot with many days of headwinds out of the south at 20 miles an hour. So a friend of mine says it felt like a hairdryer all week.
Perfect.
It was perfect.
So what discussions were FAB having when both of these stories were released? Because obviously there's a reason why you guys reached out to me to even come on this program.
Yeah, it's we like to see who's asking the questions. Sometimes you need to find the people of, who's engaging, who's asking, who's, who even wants to know what's going on. And then we're there to be like, hey, we have an answer for you.
Yeah.
Many times drivers aren't aware or drivers just don't care.
So would you say FAB, their biggest impact here in the Sioux Empire would be about providing that education to let people know this is what we can do, so this is what you should do in order to keep us bicyclists safe?
Yes. In the past, FAB used to be just kind of a club where it was just focused on the group riding and stuff. And that's still a very strong part of who we are. But we are also starting to engage more and more on the advocacy, on the messaging, on the engagement. seeing how we can grow the community and make it safer for all, whether you know who FAB is or what FAB does or not.
If you are just listening to us, Matt Cook, he is the communications director with FAB that's on the board, and it's Falls Area Bicyclists. So there are some facts about biking in the city that we touched on and throughout the state that people may not know about, but there are also some myths that are out there that you just want to bust. So what are those myths?
Myth number 1, a bicycle is required to be on the sidewalk. A bicycle can be in the street. A bicycle can take the lane. A bicycle can ride in the middle. Bicycles are not allowed on the interstate in the state of South Dakota because I can't ride 40 miles an hour as the minimum speed.
Yeah.
Some of the reasons I've always wondered is if somebody comes to me and is yelling at me and I go, well, why are you yelling at me? Is it because I'm slow? Well, if a vehicle were to be driving that slow, you would go around them. Is it because I'm small? Well, you pass mopeds and motorcycles all the time. Or is it just the fact that I'm riding a bicycle and you view it as a toy? That's one of the things we engage a lot with is a lot of people view a bicycle as a toy, as a recreational vehicle, because that's what they grew up with. And that's how they still ride. But for several others, a bicycle is a primary mode of transport. I have a friend here who left town recently, and for the first 2 years I knew him, he didn't own a car. He did everything by bike. And so that's one of the myths as well, is like you can ride a bike and it is a vehicle. It's a myth that you have to have expensive equipment. You do not. If it's got 2 wheels and rolls, it's called a bicycle.
What are some basic tips for drivers to remember when they do see bicyclists on the road?
Slow down. Number 1.
That's it.
Please slow down. Please slow down. Please don't squeeze. Many drivers are great. We have some wonderful drivers here in town. Sometimes where things get a little iffy is if there is a vehicle oncoming as well. And then they do the Midwestern, I'm just going to squeeze by you here and scooch around. Don't do that. Wait behind. Let the oncoming vehicle pass. And then you can go around. Trust me, the bicyclists will thank you. You think about it, we've done conversations as well about school zones and slowing down. Slowing down for a school zone adds like maybe 10 seconds to your journey. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Are you so impatient that 10 seconds is not worth you regarding somebody else's health, life, and safety?
But why do you think this organization here in Sioux Falls is so important?
It's a sense of community. Mm-hmm. Community is so empowering to individuals. Some people like to do things alone, but I found that for myself, I'm less inclined to do something if it's just for me, if I'm, alone. It works really well to bring people together, and our voices are stronger when they're a chorus instead of a solo. The city of Sioux Falls has had ordinances that have come up and about transportation issues in Sioux Falls, such as scooters downtown, e-bikes on the trails. And FAB has been a voice that has been very prominent in sharing the opinions of our members and of our directors and of the message that we want to go in. For example, e-bikes. 2 years ago, e-bikes were not allowed on the trail, but e-bikes are a growing percentage of the bicycle community. And I think they're amazing because if it gets you outside and it gets you moving, who cares if you have a little extra push? Sometimes I would like one myself. So yeah, we worked with the city of Sioux Falls as they crafted their ordinance that now says that class 1s e-bikes are allowed on the trail system. Class 1 e-bikes will assist you up to 20 miles an hour, and they're pedal assist, meaning that you still have to pedal. They don't have a throttle. Currently, Class 2s and Class 3 e-bikes are not allowed on the trail.
Matt, where can people go find out more information about the Falls Area Bicyclists?
We are on Facebook at Falls Area Bicyclists. Look for the FAB in like a bicycle cog logo. And then you can find us on our website, fallsareabicyclist.org. We have a huge calendar of events, group rides that we're doing, and we also try and serve as a hub for many of the group rides in the area through the bike shops. Ton of opportunities to get involved.
All right, Matt Cook, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Sunday Focus is a public affairs program of Results Radio Town Square Media, Sioux Falls.